The alternative ending was something that I kind of toyed with when I was in the edit the first time around. It was never something that I thought about when I was writing the script. But I knew how it was going to end from the start, in terms of her being trapped in the cave. Partly because when we were writing it, the script had a different title. It was called The Dark. But it was to do with the idea of her being kind of absorbed or swallowed up or being at one with the dark at the end of the film.
What happened to you?
And so I knew she was going to stay in the cave, that the darkness would finally claim her. But of course we changed the title, but it's still, and quite a lot of things changed along the way as well. But yeah, I still wanted it to stay down there. That was the ending as scripted. That was the ending that we'd all agreed on. I set out to make a film with kind of as bleak an ending as possible, and that was it. So I didn't kind of want her to get out of the cave. But when I was editing the film and we were having difficulty just getting the long form ending right, I said, at one point in frustration, I kind of said, well, why don't we just cut it here? Let's see how that works. And we played it out and we kind of said, okay, so that kind of works, but what does it say about the film? What does it say about the ending? What does it say about the characters? And ultimately we agreed that we were going to, skip that and try and push and complete the ending as was written. And that's what we did, and we finally, we got the ending we were happy with, and that was released, in the UK and throughout the rest of the world. But this was almost like a second chance to do something different, and I thought, let's try it with the other ending, see how it plays. We tested it in the US with the UK ending, and it scored pretty high. It was scored like in the 75s, around that kind of area. And then we tested it with the shorter ending, and it tested up in the 80s. Following on from the test screenings and the test results, certainly Lionsgate were happier to go with the shorter ending because that had tested better. And that was it. That's what it boiled down to. What I said earlier, which is that physically she makes it out of the cave. And although it doesn't provide a happy ending, it doesn't really provide much in the way of optimism. She's lost everything and everyone that she ever loved, and she's gone completely out of her mind, but physically she's out of a cave, so I guess that offers a degree of hope. Whereas in my original ending, she doesn't make it out of the cave, she's clearly gone out of her mind and she has no hope whatsoever. Because that's what I figured was the right place for her, that there was no hope for her, so why even kind of dangle it like a carrot in front of her face? That just seems like crueler to put her back into the outside world, because she's just gonna suffer forevermore. Because that was, as written, never intended to be the ending, I couldn't really say what I intended people to take from it, because I just kind of, you cut the film short and suddenly it opens up a whole new ballpark as to, some people don't even recognise that it's Juno in the car with her. Some people might assume that she's still alive. Some people might assume that she's a ghost. And any one of these things just is like, what does it mean? Where does this take the story? And then it cuts, so you're left with that hanging. I think unavoidably I bring my editor's sensibility to anything that I'm making, and I guess part of that, in terms of endings, is like, well, a lot of horror films, you do have kind of like the false endings, and you do have the extra little twist in the tail or a last shock moment or something just to get the audience with. So it plays along to those kind of rules, and as such, it's almost an ending in itself, which we then take on. So it wasn't like we're cheating in any way by having that as an ending. It was an ending. It just, in our version, in the longer version, we took that ending and went beyond the end, as it were. I personally prefer the longer version, the UK ending. I like what that says about the characters. The payoff as well, as far as the sort of flashbacks and the visions that she's been having throughout the story.
Sarah!
With her daughter and the birthday cake and all that kind of stuff, because she was due to celebrate her daughter's birthday just before she died. And that leaves her in a certain place where, in her own mind, she's with her daughter, and therefore that's the only kind of sense of happiness that she might ever find again. But outwardly, she's clearly gone insane. It's kind of borrowed from Terry Gilliam's original ending of Brazil, which is just that concept of like, what is a true happy ending? Where if the character in their own mind is happy, then is that a happy ending regardless of their physical circumstances? I just found that really, really fascinating. But it's also, you know, as I've said along the way, the whole film is very much a homage or tribute to the horror films I grew up with in the 70s and 80s, and I loved the endings of films like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, which is it's just so unremittingly bleak and leaves very little in the way of hope. The characters aren't dead, but there's not much in the way of optimism there, and I just wanted to achieve that kind of thing. And I think that's what I achieve more with the UK ending, but the US ending is actually more in keeping with the ending of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where again she escapes, but she's clearly, you know, lost her mind. So, both endings in their own way pay sort of tribute to different 70s horror films that inspired me hugely.